Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, Level Sheriff here, and today we're going to be diving into more of the killer's backstories. So today we've got the Legion, so let's jump on to it. So Frank Morrison was 19 and had little to show for it. He'd stopped attending school after being kicked out of the basketball team for shoving a referee into the stands. Yet Frank was a man of potential who could light up a room despite his bleak childhood. At 6 years old, he had been taken away from Calgary to start a circuit of foster homes. No matter how many times he had lashed out, threw tantrums and got into fights, they had kept moving him to new, unfamiliar houses. His last move had been 3 years prior, when his last foster dad, wife Andrews, had picked him up from the adoption centre. They'd been on the road for 7 hours before reaching a small bungalow in Ormond. It would be the longest time they'd spent together. Clive was too busy trading checks from family services for drinks at the bar. Ormond was a small, stable place, a remote town of 6,000 inhabitants, where grey winters drag on for most of the year. Frank did everything he could to get into another adoptive family, but he changed his mind when he caught the attention of a beautiful girl. Judy was a popular girl who was convinced that she deserved better than a life in Ormond, and Frank, as an outsider, was to take it out. Frank attended the parties she threw, where everyone was younger than him and easily impressed, which he liked. He met the impulsive Joey, who liked to show off, and the shy, naive Susie, who was Julia's best friend. They would hang out at an abandoned lodge up Mount Ormond. Their time together was the perfect break from the boring conformity of their small, insignificant everyday lives. Frank saw it as an opportunity to shape their lack of experience into something powerful. He lined up nights of debauchery and rampage, testing their limits. Bullying, vandalism, and theft were essentially their weekend plans. It came to a point where they would do anything he asked. Nothing was off limits when they put their masks on. One evening, Frank dared Joey to vandalise the store that had recently fired him. They snuck inside easily enough, as the building was supposed to be empty after closing hours. But a cleaner who was still there grabbed Judy as soon as she came near. Hearing her stifled cries, a dark impulse took over Frank. He rushed to her aid, knife in hand, and without hesitating, planted the blade into the cleaner's back. As the group stared at Frank in shock, he ordered them to finish the job. Joey clenched his jaw, grabbed the knife, and stabbed the bleeding man in the ribs. Susie didn't want to do it. Frank shouted at her. They had to finish what they had started. Judy closed her eyes and jabbed the knife into the man's chest. She handed the wet blade to Susie. They were all in this together now. Susie stared at Judy in disbelief as Frank grabbed her trembling hands and inserted the knife deep into the man's throat. Frank told them to move fast. They mopped the blood off the floor, stashed the body in the trunk of Joey's car, and drove out Mount Ormond. All four were digging in the muddy snow to dispose of the body when Frank spotted something moving through the woods. He grabbed his knife and broke from the group to check it out. The fog thickened around Frank, becoming so dense that he soon could no longer see ahead. He retraced his steps and stumbled on an ominous trail. He followed the eerie path as if called by the darkness. Judy, Susie, and Joey finished digging, but Frank was nowhere to be seen. Judy spotted his muddy footsteps in the snow, and the three of them followed the trail, which then took them deep into the woods. When Judy, Susie, and Joey did not return home that night, their parents thought they'd run away with Frank. Each family came up with a different theory. The mood of the town changed, however, when a body was found by an abandoned lodge up near Mount Ormond. Just a quick recap on the spirits. I don't think I kind of finished it off in the story last time, but where her father slashed her, you can actually see that here as well. So these cuts in her arms, legs, those who have rather slashed her. So it's cool to see the devs put that on the character as well. Right, so finish the Legion. So now let's jump on to the Plague. When she was 5 years old, Idris, the youngest of a family of 7, was left on the brick-red burning steps of the Temple of Purgation at the centre of Babylon. To process her shock and sorrow, she held onto the belief that the gods had a plan for her. Her new life was one of the quiet servitude. She would tend to the gardens, prepare ceremonial meals, and polish ceremonial incense burners. At night she would pray for a sign that would reveal her purpose. Excuse me. When she came of age, she attended the high-ranking priests during the yearly worship of the sea goat, the god of water and creation. Swinging a censer down the great Hippostaph hall, she cast thick black fumes that reached the cold, towering stone pillars before dissipating. Her worries lifted, and the resulting bliss made her feel closer to the gods than ever. She worked herself to the bone each day that followed, fulfilling her duties while taking on new ones, as she aided the priests during purification rituals. The priests were more and more in need of assistance. Cleansings were being performed daily to answer the demand from outside the high temple walls, where a catastrophic plague had resurfaced. Within months, the priests contracted the disease. It did not take long before they became too weak to perform any kind of ritual. Idris, having assisted many purification rituals, was the only one able to carry on. The swelling panic had to be contained, even if by novice. Anxious before her first ceremony, Idris visited the priest's sanctuary chamber. When she lit the candles, she noticed a narrow opening at the back. Sliding through the gap, she reached a crypt hidden under the sanctuary. The chamber was bare except for the golden statue of a woman, who stood with outstretched hands. Her fingers covered in jewels, it was the sign Idris had been waiting for. The great hall was packed with followers who bowed down as Idris entered. She strode to the brick altar and grabbed a ceremonial dagger forged in silver, her ruby-ringed fingers wrapping around the blade-like claws. The sudden display of luxury intrigued the followers, who were struck already by her youth and beauty. As she began reciting the epic of creation, a woman at the back swooned and collapsed. Idris rushed to her and noticed the black blisters covering her feet. Without hesitation, Idris grabbed her sacred blade and swung it at her own foot, severing a toe. Then she offered the bloody part to the gods, asking them to protect the woman. A silence fell over the followers, who revered Idris as their new priestess. Tales of her wealth, beauty and devotion began to spread across the city as quickly as the disease. Soon, Idris's followers called her the High Priestess of Babylon. But her faith was tried when she showed the first signs of infection. Her cough became a mix of phlegm and blood. I think that's how you say that word. Her neck erupted in abscesses, and her four-toed foot darkened. Ashamed of her condition, she began wearing a veiled headpiece and carried a censer that masked the rancid smell of sick that clung to her skin. Hoping to be saved, she kept performing the rituals, offering blessed water and food to her followers. But no ritual could save her. In a desperate attempt to appease the gods, Idris banished herself from the city. She travelled north with a few followers, venturing through the cold woodlands of Urashtu until it was no longer possible to walk. They camped in a damp cave where Idris lay in a pool of vomit. Her foot, which had turned black, was so swollen she could not go any further. Her followers and she realised the truth in that cave. They were all infected with the plague. Kneeling among her retching followers, Idris made one last prayer. The black fumes of incense rose into the damp air before being wiped off by a cold breeze. Neither the body of Idris nor her followers were ever found. Many told tales of her return, but no one truly knew what fate had befallen the High Priestess of Babylon. Bit of a sad story. And I think if you look carefully down at her feet, you can actually see the toe she had cut off is actually missing on one of her feet. It's kind of hard to tell because her feet are down the bottom here, but it is missing. She is missing a toe. Right, on to the next character. The Ghostface. It's a very fun movie to watch, I must admit. And especially some of the scenes were pretty funny in some of the movies. Right. Let us read. So, Danny Johnson, known as Jed Olsen by some, grabbed the newspaper from the kitchen counter. It was a week old, but his face was on the front page, grainy and sunken. It was one of those muggy afternoons in Florida when heat and humidity permeated everything in the kitchen, making him sweat while standing still. He slouched in a damp chair to read. The article had better be good. His work in Roseville had been outstanding. Ghostface disappears, June 18th, 1993. At first glance, Jed Olsen was a modest and enthusiastic freelancer with experience in a variety of small newspapers. The staff at the Roosevelt Gazette appreciated how easygoing and honest he seemed, and say he was treated as a stranger for no more than 5 minutes into his interview. Jed quickly spotted the editor-in-chief in the room, gave him a wide smile and a firm handshake, and talked about how good old American values. And that was it. He was in. Ex-contributor at the Roosevelt Gazette. Olsen never justified his erratic career path, which zigzagged between several small towns from Utah to Pennsylvania. There was no verification of his previous jobs. He had a decent portfolio plus a good attitude. They needed a contributor right away. The Roosevelt murders. Olsen had been working at the newspaper for 5 months when the Roosevelt murders began. Victims from young to old stabbed to death in their homes. From the reports, the victims seemed chosen at random, yet the killer knew his way around in the houses. The multiple stab wounds indicated a personal motive. No traces of DNA were found. The local police were confounded. The murders were carried with fury akin to a crime of passion, yet coldly premeditated. The murderer also liked to stalk his targets. 2 victims have reported being followed on their way home by a dark figure a few days prior to their death. The killer would follow them from War Eyes, a small bar in northern Roseville, and snap pictures of them at home while looking for a way in. He could watch the same victim for weeks, meticulously registering their habits and routines. When he felt the urge to kill, he'd visit the most vulnerable victim on his list and break inside the house quietly. The whole staff worked on the Roosevelt murders story. Olsen was often sent to interview the family of victims and relay official statements from the police. Unknown to everyone at the time, his involvement added to the final body count. The Ghostface. Panic swelled in Roseville when Olsen produced footage of a hooded figure breaking into a house at night. The masked face, a white blur in the dark, stared at the camera for a second before disappearing inside. Ghostface caught on tape was the resulting article, written by Olsen. He seemed proud of his work at the time, enjoying how the whole town feared his ghost stories. Weeks later, Olsen left a note on his work desk and disappeared. I hope you like my stories. I enjoyed bringing them to life. Don't worry, I'm not done. Jed Olsen. The Roseville law enforcement still refuses to comment as Jed Olsen remains at large. Danny smiled, ripping out the article from the newspaper. Excuse me. When the investigation had been pointing to him, he'd packed his bags and left Roseville swiftly. Oops. He got up, the clammy seat pulling his skin. An oppressive humidity engulfed him as he entered the bedroom. Condensation dribbled on a small, misted-up window as bits of cracked wallpaper hung limply. Its floral pattern was covered with gruesome photos and newspaper headlines. Danny pinned the week-old article on top of a picture of lacerated scalps. A faint pang of hunger hit him, and he wondered when he had eaten last. Was it this morning, while washing his knife and clothes? Or was it last night after following that girl down the street? He couldn't remember clearly. Taking a step he admired his work on the wall. His mind drifted, remembering all the articles he had written, the stories he had planned, and the scenes he had brought to life. A shiver ran through him. A chilling breeze transformed the bedroom's humidity into an opaque, freezing fog. A woman shrieked. Dead leaves crunched under his feet. He smiled in anticipation. Yes, the Ghostface is a pretty scary killer in game. He's given me a fair jump scare now and then when I'm playing, so I always make sure I bring Spine Chill. It's a survivor perk, and it basically lights up if a killer is looking in my direction. So it's pretty good, especially if it's a Ghostface, because he's pretty stealthy in the game. So, right, let's move on to our next killer, Demogorgon. Now, there's not really much of a backstory. It's just a short story, but probably all know what happens in Stranger Things, especially with season 4 just coming out, and the last 2 episodes of season 4 will be released on July the 1st. So basically the backstory is a blooming mouth full of needle-like teeth for a face, large curved, razor-sharp claws, and powerful legs to bounce on victims, make the Demogorgon a frightening monster to face in any dimension. It is a nightmare of unrestrained feral rage as it hunts down its prey and rips it to pieces, devouring every last morsel of flesh and gore, leaving nothing for scavengers. The creature is untouched by any sense of compassion or restraint. Looming over its victim, it shows no doubt or mercy, just the pure instinct of its insatiable bloodlust as it delivers the death blow. A perfect hunter, the Demogorgon is a macabre testament to the horrors lurking in the Upside Down, and why it was choice pickings for the entity. So yeah, honestly, I'm a big fan of Stranger Things, and I cannot wait for the last 2 episodes of season 4. I think that will be it for reading the killer's backstories. Why don't we jump into a quick game? Right, Grim Entry, here we go. I quickly switch on his skin, so that's why it looks a little bit different than it was in the menu. Come back here, Miss Claudette. What the? Yes, keep running straight in a straight line. Ooh! Very close. Oh, come on. So close. Okay, that's a wall. Whoops, daisy. Excuse me, Claudette, where you go? Oh my goodness! Nope, I can't see. Ooh, so close. Ah! Well, it's been blocked, my lady. Sorry, can't go that way. Oh. Very nice. She did hearted, but still got her. And I think we've got an AFK person, because that's why that noise is going off. Yeah, nah, it's an okay AFK. Yeah, these two have been prepared. Portal. Hello. Oh. Well done, David. Come here. Oh, what the? Ah! I fell for the hole. Dang it. Okay. I need to find out what this coordinate is, because she's doing chance like fast. And she's on this one. Hello? Ah, there you are. Why are they both here? Excuse me, David. Can you stop running? That's... not what I want you to do. Thank you. Oh, butt off. I'm not even there, David. Hello? Bolted. Dead hard. Drop the window. Very nice. Nope. Not having it again. Wrong thing. Whoops. Better. I hear you. You're not going for the save. Oh! Nicely done. Oh look! Mink! It's the basement! Wow! No surprises. Someone's here. Why do I have a feeling someone's here? I'm not even sure if he got healed or not, but it might. Okay. Yes. That's off. They're on this, Jade. They'll be this one. Yep. Get off! My gin! Do not touch my gin! Oh my goodness, you're running a marathon! Oh, that's a slow bolt. You might get off. Yep. You're not on that gin. Get off. Why? here to get the flashlight save. That's a wall. Okay, makes there. Claudette just healed itself. Oh! And we run straight into her. That's good. Oh, down the hole. Whee. How did I miss? What the? No. Good plan. I can smell ya. Oh, for goodness sake. Hi. Where's your friend? Hmm? Oh, this lockers are you? Oh, for goodness sake! I knew you were around here. Good plan. Look, there's a hook right here. Merry Christmas. Oh, you're in your second stage. Okay, that's good. That means I can have enough time to get Miss Meg. Thought I heard her. Ah, for goodness sake. Well done! Right into my loving arms! Ooh, so close. No. No! I'm getting sick of this. Awful. That's it. Gotta kill you. Great, and I hold myself. Lovely. Good. Yeah, the edge is right there. Good game. Alright, nice. Could have done a bit better there, but hey, it all comes in learning. Every killer you gotta learn and get used to their power. But well, ladies and gentlemen, that might be it for tonight. Hope you liked the video, and if you do, drop a like, hit that subscribe button. That would be awesome. And yeah, hopefully later on we'll be reading more into the killer's backstories. The new chapter will be out later on tomorrow, I think it will be. So yeah, that'll be exciting. If you want me to do any other video, just let me know as well, like Apex, or what else I've got? I've got Tiny Tina's Wonderlands I could play as well. I could do a whole full series on that. But yeah, anyway, have a good night.